What's up, everyone? Coach Dan here on Gaspari Nutrition. Today we have a very special guest. He's going to tell you his story. He is Pastor Pump on Instagram, aka Carlos Rodriguez, one of our newest athletes on the team, and he has an absolutely incredible story to tell us. One of resilience, one of absolutely overcoming every possible trial and tribulation you could in the sport of bodybuilding, and plenty of trials and tribulations in life. Carlos, thank you so much for joining me today and spending time to tell this story. So you're a competitive bodybuilder in IFBB. You're an IFBB Pro.
Yeah.
And what's going on with you in the last few years that we want everyone to hear about today?
Well, maybe like a 5-part series on this one, but let's keep it short for one. It's been an interesting journey. I mean, I've been in this for about 30 years competing. First show back in '93, so bodybuilding was my life. I mean, everything I did, my business runs around the sport. Everything I do is around the sport, and it was what I do. So it kept me going, kept me active. It gave me goals every year to work towards. Because we all need like a reason. We all enjoy training, but having those extra goals just makes you push a little harder. So. It was a long journey to finally get my pro card. Got it done in 2018, and then from there you're thinking is, okay, what's next? We're starting a new chapter. Everything should be good to go. You work hard for it, and then right away, things didn't go so well for me. I started feeling unhealthy. I did all my checkups twice a year. Everything always seemed to be, on point. Nothing that would say, okay, something's wrong with your health, and so. I was getting ready for shows and was feeling well, and then in 2019 I had my first accident where I went snowboarding with my son. So I went down, and people say, well, I didn't know you snowboarded. Well, obviously not too good. That's why I fell down and hurt my arm. So I fell down, busted my arm, and ended up tearing my right tricep on that one. And that was Thanksgiving 2019. And so that was a bad situation. Then I had to rehab in 2020, and then we all get hit with the COVID thing and the shutdown. So you're dealing with the rehab and dealing with COVID.
Massive obstacles to overcome.
Yeah, so then you try to stay positive, and people, say, well, you're a positive person. Look, man, no matter how positive you are, you all hit a dark point, and negativity always hits you. I mean, you get frustrated, no matter how much you try to, you're going pushing through. There's times when you're just in the quiet times where you get frustrated with the whole situation. So obviously it was frustrating. I said, okay, well, I use this opportunity just to build myself back, and I'm not going to make an excuse to quit. So within usually an injury like that, it takes 1 year for recovery. I was back on stage 9 months later competing. So I did that. With the lockdown, I can say it now. We snuck into the gym in the mornings, got our training done. And did what we had to do. And did my rehab and got back on stage. Obviously not 100%. I'm already older. Things weren't. You can't do what you did before, but. For me, it was a victory just to be able to get back on the stage and do what I want to do in 2020 and compete and get back there and do a couple pro shows as a masters. I was able to come at least top 5 in one of them. And so I'm thinking is 2020, what can be worse than what just happened to me last year, right? We all went through the COVID lockdown.
Famous last words. Well, in your case, you're like a cat. You got like 9 lives.
Yeah, but we all say that. What's the worst time? When you say that, you're like, you just kind of jinx yourself. So I said, what's the worst? We came back from a torn tricep, recovered. We went through the COVID lockdowns. 2021 should be the year. Everybody's back
ready to break out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm older, so this is my last year. 2021 is my last year. I'm not going to compete. Nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody. Just I told it was myself. I said, I was in my 40s. I had fun with the whole sport. I just want 1 more year where I'm somewhat healthy, because the arm will never be the same. So I'm somewhat healthy. Yeah. So I'm about a week away from starting the prep, because I usually give myself about 20 weeks, to give myself, time. So, but already at 22 weeks, you're already thinking of, it's here, it's almost time, So the intensity's up, and you're pushing hard. I remember that morning in the gym with just shoulders and tris. I'm pressing 100-pound dumbbells, 120-pound dumbbells for shoulder press, and I'm geared up. Like, we're gonna go into this prep. I'm gonna finish this
one up. Yeah.
This is it, man. This is the year. I'm gonna finish this off as good as I can, And then you do all the hard stuff, and get to the end for the easy stuff. I'm just finishing off some dumbbell extensions for triceps, the easy stuff at the end, and we hear that gunshot. And then I knew exactly right away, because that dumbbell fell and it hit me in the side of the face, and I dropped it. And my buddy's just like, his eyes, and there's nobody in the gym because we're by ourselves, and his eyes just go open up, and he goes, what was that? And I'm like, yeah, I just tore a tricep. And he goes, how do you know? It's like, You know. When you know your body, you know. When that done him in the face, I'm going, there was no movement. I know, it happened. So I go in the car at 6:30 in the morning. My surgeon doesn't open until 8 o'clock. The one that did this arm, so I'm going to call the doctor this morning and tell him, you know, get this done as soon as possible. So I'm still thinking is, I want to get this fixed, and I still got till October to get ready for another one. You know, that's how crazy and how focused you were. I was battling between I'm done, and at the same time going is, all right, July, then we got August, September, October, I got 3 months. I say, I got time, I can do one more, you know? So that, and so I'm frustrated, I go back to the car, I'm praying, I'm like, you know, frustrated because I went through this whole rehab with this arm. You know, I thought, you know, prayed about it, I said, God, we had a plan, it's not it was my plan, it wasn't God's plan, but, you know, I said, we got one more show, and that was gonna be it. So, and obviously now that goes out the window, and now I gotta do the whole rehab on this one, which, you know, this side I try to use positive, people follow, you're motivating people, you know, to get back in the gym and do stuff, whatever it is that you're battling your obstacle. I didn't feel like motivating anybody anymore. I'm like, you know, I did it once, I don't feel like doing another one. It's like, what's next? I was like, I'm gonna blow my knee, and then my knee's gonna be the next one. I don't want to inspire people any more stories, you know? I was like, I'm done. And so I was like, I'm frustrated thinking about it, and then, you know, I call the surgeon, he goes, come in right away, come in the morning. And even before the MRI, we already knew it was torn, so already scheduling surgeries, all that kind of stuff going. And I'm just doing times in my mind, okay, if I get this done, then I got this, and I can, you know, my time frame when I can do stuff. Because I really didn't want to push past it that year, 2021. It's like, I really just want to be done with it, you know what I mean? And start doing something else. And so, after the surgery, we get that done. You know, we do all the checkup before your blood work comes out fine. You know, your blood pressure comes out fine. Actually, my blood pressure is a little low. I'm like, man, my blood pressure is always on point. You know what I mean? And so, and then after the surgery, you know, I just wasn't feeling right. And on top of that, after the 1 week after the surgery, I already had a problem with a friend of mine. The week after the surgery was the Arnold Classic. So I missed the Arnold Classic I was going to do because they canceled it for that week anyway, that year anyways, because of COVID. But the first weekend of March was usually the Arnold. I had agreed to do my buddy's wedding. So I was going to officiate his wedding the week after my surgery. And so another friend of mine gave me his robe, so I was wearing a robe that covered my cast. I could wear, you know, I could see my cast on my hand. So I was able to do his wedding, you know, hiding my cast. So I just couldn't. But I wasn't feeling well because they told me it was anesthesia, because after this arm, I was back at work the week after with my cast on doing work. I was functional, I was able to drive, and I was supposed to, but I still was driving. With this one, I was feeling off. You had my wife driving in Tampa, I couldn't drive. And I said, just make sure, help me up the stairs, you know, to do this because I'm not feeling well. I pulled off the wedding, you know what I mean? I got it done. I still couldn't drive afterwards, and then I wasn't feeling right. And then that was March, and then the week after Easter, I had that night that I was telling you about where I was off and I couldn't remember anything was going on.
And you're a guy who pays attention to his health. I mean, you were meticulous about not only your nutrition, your training, tracking everything down to your blood work twice a year, and still you had to read your own body and be more self-aware than anything.
It was. I mean, I have my training journals back since I was 16 years old. You know what I mean? I got all my medical records from everything as far as all my blood work going back, you know, from 2008, you know, the twice yearly blood work, I have all that stuff, all the records. I have piles, so whenever, you know, my doctor asked for records, we got records. You know, I got everything. I can go back, so it's not like, oh, you haven't been to the doctor in, you know, 2 years.
A walking science experiment.
Yes, right? I'm always there, you know what I mean? Because I always said if, you know, you have kids, so I'm always saying is if I die, it's not because I didn't take care of myself. If I die, it's because I get hit by a truck. That was always my thing. If I get hit by a truck, that's the only I'm going to die, because I'm not dying for bad health. That's not going to happen to me, you know? So I'm thinking that's, you know, the way you eat. Even off season, you know, when I posted a video of myself when I was at 280 off season, there was no love handles, there was abs at 280. I said, because even when I could have ate like a slob in the off season, I wasn't eating like a slob. Because for me it was, I'm still a professional, I need to look the part, I need to be, not only look it, I need to be healthy as well. So I want to do my off season cardio, you know, eating right. You know, if I went to Fuddruckers, I tell people I was getting an elk burger or bison burger, or mini burgers, not getting those burgers are full of fat, because I just believe that, you know, being on stage, you look healthy, but we're not, because we're dying on stage. You know, but we talk about bodybuilding, but if everything we do is destroying your body, what's the benefit of what we do?
Yeah, what are you really building?
Yeah, what are we really building? So it's not only building the muscle, I want us to be healthy as well. Because when I teach my kids, I don't want my kids to see this as just for sport. This is a lifestyle, trying to keep yourself healthy. So I was trying to, you know, the way we eat at home, the way we keep a track of our exercise. We don't feel like it, we get on a treadmill anyways afterwards and walk for 20 minutes. So I wanted, that's part of our lifestyle. And that at the end is really what saved my life.
And that's what we're really all about, and that's what we're trying to communicate through interviews like this with athletes like you, is that Gaspari Nutrition is all about living the proven lifestyle, whatever that means to you, whether that's competing in bodybuilding or other more traditional sports, or just staying healthy on a daily basis. You've clearly, we say prove it daily, right? You've clearly proven it daily for all of your life, and certainly when times got hard, you were able to bounce back, and you still hadn't even really seen your hardest obstacle yet. And you know, what was that, and what did that sort of evolution of that process look like?
Yeah, you think you're in the valley when I'm going through this rehab, you know what I mean? Because I'm doing the rehab and I'm doing so good with this rehab that, like, when I did this one, they kicked me out of rehab because going, you're beyond. Like,
we can't help you here.
Yeah, they had me doing the 5-pound dumbbell overhead and going, you're doing this more than in the gym, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing on the hammer strength 90 pounds. And he goes, yeah, you can leave. You know, so they kicked me on this arm. So I was doing
You're
this
excused.
one. Yeah, I'm doing this one, doing rehab, but I'm coming from the gym in the morning, already doing my work in the morning, and then come and do rehab later on, and I'm doing my stuff. And she goes, you know, you're past again. You're past this goal. Something. I'm ahead of schedule. I'm good. You know, this triceps feeling well.
Right.
I'm going to be on pace again, but I'm still feeling this weirdness in my body, all that kind of stuff. And that's what happened that week after after Easter, where I had that night of amnesia, whatever it was. That I woke up in the morning on Saturday, that Friday, it was Friday night, that Saturday I woke up and I couldn't remember anything that happened on Friday. Wow. I remember leaving work and not feeling well, then I see the box of carryout that I got on Friday night that I don't remember picking up, but I know that every Friday night I pick up Chinese food for me and my wife every Friday night. Okay, a little cheap food on Friday nights. So, you know, so on Friday night I picked up Chinese food. On this Saturday morning I'm looking there, I'm going, when did I do? I don't remember going to pick this up, but obviously I'm the one that picked it up, and I'm like, this is not good. Right. But at the same time, it's Saturday morning, I'm supposed to meet my buddy at 5 o'clock at the gym to train, and it's part of my rehab. So I'm going to the gym at 5 o'clock, and I'm like, this is weird because I can't even remember how to get to work.
Wow.
I know like where I work, but I'm not kind of sure how to get there. So I'm just driving kind of like on autopilot to get there. I get there, I get into the gym, it's closed because nobody's there, so I get there early by myself. I come in at 5. And my buddy decides not to show up that day. The only day he missed that day. So I'm in there by myself training, and at 5 o'clock, and I had the video that morning, I'm doing my rehab for my tricep, I'm doing my push-ups, you know, I'm like having a good day. And then I look at the clock, and it's past 6:30. I'm like, I had passed out on the bench. And that man goes, something's not right. I said, something's not right that I've lost an hour and a half of my time from when I got in here, and I can't remember when it happened. So I went back, started researching whatever it was.
Completely disoriented.
Oh, yeah. Completely, and so I researched what it was, and it goes, you know, the amnesia could be many different things. It could be a stroke. But again, I'm going, it can't be a stroke. I'm young, I'm healthy, it can't be a stroke. So I go, anyway, they go see a neurologist. We do all the tests, MRIs, CAT scans, spend a month hooked up to everything, you know, doing test after test. And then he comes in, the neurologist calls me on the phone after the MRI, and I missed his call, but he goes, you didn't tell me about the accident. Please, you know, I need to talk to you. What accident? I told you about the tricep accident, you know. It's like, yeah. So he goes, so I get on the phone, he asked me to come in. So I come in, and he comes in the room, and he goes, why didn't you tell me about the accident? I go, what accident? He goes, to your brain. I'm going, well, I dropped the dumbbell on my head when the dumbbell goes, no. On the right side of your brain, there's damage on your brain that should have put you in a coma. Like if you were in a massive car accident. It's like, there it goes.
The fall from was it the fall?
No, it was a stroke. The stroke caused so much damage. I had another doctor later on tell me, because I had a doctor that wanted to do a test on my pituitary that does my therapy to make sure all my hormones are still good or whatever it is. She wanted to do an MRI on my pituitary. I said, I can't do it because of my implant. I can't do MRIs. I said, but I had an MRI of my brain done, you know, last year. Check it out. And when she saw it, she goes, she came in, you make no sense. She goes, you should not be sitting here right now. I said, would that MRI show the damage to your brain? You should be a vegetable. Wow. And then she already saw me as I rehab before. She goes, you shouldn't be able to walk. You shouldn't be able to move. You shouldn't be in the shape that you are right now. You make no sense whatsoever. And I said, God, good. You know, that it's the blessing of God. That's just part of the miracle. But so after we know we had a stroke, now we're trying to figure out why he had a stroke. You know, because
where did it come from?
Yeah, because usually it comes from a blood clot, whatever it is, or air getting into your brain. So my doctor goes, well, you're gonna go have your heart checked to see if you have a hole in your heart, whatever it is. And I'm like, man, I got an MRI, I got an EKG back in 2019. They told me that I was okay. So I'm thinking they told me, which it was. We found out later that it was completely off. But I'm going that, you know, where they messed up at that clinic where they told me I was good, which I wasn't, you know, malpractice. I'm going off the fact that my EKG is fine. So that's all, they told me I'm fine. My blood work's always perfect, and my blood pressure is under 120.
Right.
So what am I going to say to my heart's bad? Say, dude, if I die right now in a car accident and my heart's still working, go pull my heart out and give it to the 20-year-old. That's how good my heart is. I'm thinking to myself. So they try to give me, you know, a prescription to go see a cardiologist. They go, no, my sister-in-law is the manager at the office, a good cardiologist. I'll go see him. So I'm gonna go see, you know, go there for an hour. You know, and tell me you're good to go. You know, we'll figure this out later. So I go to the cardiologist, and my sister-in-law does the EKG, and I can read her face. I know her for years. I'm reading her face, going, okay, so you know, she's not smiling.
This isn't good.
She's not smiling at me. You know, it's like, and she goes very quiet. Goes, yeah, we're gonna do the echocardiogram now. Like she was like. I know so many texts not supposed to tell you something, but she's not talking. I'm like,
not a very good poker face.
That's not good, all right. And so the guy comes and does my echocardiogram, and I'm looking on the wall before he does it, and it tells you anything under 35%, you're in heart failure. You know, and usually your ejection fraction will never be 100%. 70% is a strong, healthy person. So I'm looking at the wall, one is, I'm probably a 70. Worst case, 65. I mean, what slob, out of shape person has under 35? You gotta be dying to have under 35. I'm thinking. So they do my echo, and the guy that I know goes, yeah, you're gonna live. And that's what he tells me. I'm like, you're gonna live. So I guess I'm okay. No, my ejection fraction was in low teens. So 35, you're already in heart failure. I was in the teens.
Right.
So I was already below heart failure.
Somehow you're still kicking.
And I'm still kicking. And I was, you know, I'm still training, like I'm still getting ready for a show. Absolutely. Like I'm still thinking showtime. And even after they told me this, I'm going, all right, I'm a little low. I'm still got October. I'm still holding on to October. And then when then they bring me in for the cardiac catheterization, where they stick the little cable up there to do a heart, the camera to check your heart, to do all the pictures, whatever it is. And then they find out, you know, it has signs of a previous heart attack. You know, a bunch of dead spots in my heart. You know, they picked up on the echo. The heart had a bunch of dead parts in it. You know, and I had 6 blockages. And it's like, he goes, what you have is what they call, like, if you were, there's a widowmaker. It's like, your heart's not supposed to be working. You should be dead right now. Yeah. And he goes, the only reason you're alive is because your heart formed collateral circulation, which it means that the arteries, new arteries formed around the blocked ones to keep the heart going and keep, you know, and keep blood moving. That's what saved my life. And that happened, you know, it's very rare. It's a miracle from God. But I also know that I believe that God doesn't work in your laziness. God works in the way He moves you. And all those times that I want to eat well, I want to do my cardio, I want to do my, you know, I'm not going to be lazy. Right. Those little things were what affected the fact that my heart was able to heal itself the way it did, because I was doing the things necessary without me even knowing it. I was doing the little things necessary to keep me alive. And that's part of the lifestyle, where it's not just about, you know, if I'm not prepping for a show, I'm a slob. When I'm prepping, then I want to get lean, you know. It's like, no, the whole life was, I'm living a lifestyle trying to be healthy. And those little details I was doing was a little stream that kept me from being dead. It was me doing those little dead things.
Being diligent to stick to your regiment and be on top of all the little details of your training, from nutrition to lifestyle, rest, recovery.
Yeah.
You clearly were able to keep yourself intact despite so many different functions.
Yeah. Really
important bodily functions going haywire.
Yeah, because he says it's a hereditary thing, because it makes no sense that all the years of blood work, cholesterol's on point. There's nothing that said, right. So it happens so slowly. It goes, it's not something you did, because something you did to yourself, your body would show a trauma, and there's nothing that ever came up. Like, look, whatever you're doing now, right. You know, when guys are using their chemicals, their kidneys go, and you can see those things on your blood work.
No,
there was never anything about blood work goes.
There's
like
no
going,
denying it.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know what? These functions are off. What are you doing to yourself that your functions are off? There's never any red flags anywhere, any functions being off anywhere. But that's why whether I was off season, I just ate more food than I would when I was prepping. It was no different than I'm going from pizza and donuts, you know, and hamburgers, you know, off season to, you know, chicken and broccoli when I'm prepping. It was always the clean food all year long, right. And that's what my kids have been able to see in our house, is how we buy food, right? You know, right. And now my son's old, now asking more questions about how you do this, and you know, because he's not afraid I'm going to die, but he knows that life is very short, you know. But he asks me questions, and I'm going, this is what I've been doing with you guys since you were small. The food choices, the meat that I buy, you know what I mean, right. the milk that I buy for you, the low fat, the juices. We don't bring garbage stuff. We bring real stuff in here. We bring the fruits. You growing up and you're spoiled because you understand. It's like a lot of kids don't have this. A lot of kids come home to nothing but junk food, right? And you guys are just used to eating well. That's why you guys are healthy, because of what I've done for you without you even knowing it. So so they learn those little habits.
That in them from an early age, yeah.
Yeah, little habits. And so then the cardiac catheterization, first when he found out all those things, he tried to do we went back the next week, he tried to put stents in there to try to open those blockages. And what you don't want to hear after a procedure where unsuccessful was the words he told me. Like, all right, well, what's next? I mean, I was supposed to fix me, and he didn't. So right away, he scheduled me next week for open heart surgery. The guy tells me, you'll be about a week or two in the hospital for recovery. So I'm telling my clients, I'll be back to work in a couple of weeks. I bounce back from everything. I mean, it's like I'm always ready to go, So I'm telling him I'll be back in a couple of weeks. And so I just go in there, and this whole time, in faith, everybody's praying always for miracles, for this, for that, like instant gratification. And I just learned in my life that a lot of times you don't get what you want to get at that moment, but the process is important for whatever lesson you're going to learn.
That's what produces the end result.
Yeah.
Without that process, you really don't get the valuable lessons that come along with it.
No, and that's the hard part of faith. Faith is not, believing that whatever I ask for, I'm going to get right away. Faith is believing that no matter how bad the situation is, there's something on the other side of this. And that's just being able to be patient and walk through it.
Keep walking.
And keep walking.
Yeah.
And that's the difficult part. So we went in, and I went into the surgery, and I was blessed that my sister-in-law, my other sister-in-law, she's a doctor at UM, so she had access to me as well. And I went to that surgery, and I was in an induced coma for the first week afterwards. Thank God my wife took all these pictures and videos, because now we have like a running, diary of little things, the way things were, and how messed up I was. And then right after I got out of the surgery, I got something called DAH, diffuse alveolar hemorrhage, which means the alveolar is the sacs in your lungs, and hemorrhaging is just hemorrhaging.
Yeah, they're just bleeding.
It's just bleeding. So my lungs were bleeding, and it's incurable. There's no cure for that. It's nothing, no medicine. All they can do is drain you while you're bleeding.
Your body figures it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and hope your body stops, because I thought it was 50-50, and one doctor told me later, it was not 50-50. Recheck your numbers. It's 80% chance of mortality. So you got a 20% chance of surviving just that. So on top of me coming in with a heart that's not working, my lungs failed right afterwards with a heart that's not strong enough to really keep you alive. If you get sick when you're strong, I get over it. I get this get hit with this while my heart at post-surgery was working in the single digits.
Right. Well, at this point, you're a cat with 10 lives.
Oh, it's like I'm on a heart pump after surgery, because my heart was that weak after surgery. I'm on a heart pump, and on top of this, I get this one, so. And so I was in a coma, whatever. They put me in a coma, then they, took me out. And then the first thing I did when they took me out was I'm trying to get out of the bed already. You can't get out. You gotta relax. Right. And I was so ready. I was like, I gotta go. I'm just thinking this. I gotta go pay my bills. I mean, I've been here too long. I say, how long I've been here? I said, I got responsibilities. I'm trying to get out. And so they had to induce me again and put me under again. And so they put me under again. And this time when I wake up, they put a trach, and I had to get tracheotomy.
Oh, my goodness.
So they trached me, so I had that going on there. So I wake up again, and then then the feeding tube in my nose that I've pulled out like 2 or 3 times. I'm in the hospital, and I put it back down my nose. But you had that with the trach, and I was there a total of 40 days in the hospital. Eating through the tube, through my nose, whatever it is. I went in. At the beginning of the year, it was 260. When I was going for all this process of surgeries, I said I need to back off. I knew it was going to be a process. I said I stopped eating a lot, because I don't want to weigh myself down. I knew I had a heart condition,
You want to give your body the opportunity to recover.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to keep pounding food if I know I have a heart condition. The fact that I was like, and I was in June 20 with my surgery. In the beginning of June, I was just so blessed to be able to see my son graduate high school. And I'm taking everything in. I'm not taking it for granted. So I was just so blessed to see him graduate. And I'm going through this whole situation. I'm just getting ready, going, I got to give myself the best chance to recover. So I went into the hospital at 240, 245. And so I went in there, and then, I came out at 170 out of the hospital after these 40 days. I came out at 170 pounds. But, when I woke up the second time from the coma, I woke up and I had a stain in my throat, I have tubes everywhere. It's uncomfortable, and I couldn't use my hands, and I couldn't I couldn't use my phone to text anybody, see anything. They say, well, here's a pad. I couldn't talk, I had to stay in my throat, so you can't talk. Oh, just write down what you want to say, and I can't write. And so I'm just freaking out, going, I can't write, I can't use my hands, I can't walk. I'm like, how have I been in a coma? It's like, I've been like I felt like I've been 6 months. And so I couldn't use any of my functions.
You're trapped in your own body.
Yeah, I couldn't walk, and so I had to do the rehab for my hands, to learn how to use my hands again, and then I had to do rehab to get my strength back, to be able to walk again, all that kind of stuff. And at first I'm just very, I'm frustrated, whatever it is, and I just noticed that I can't stay in this spot, and I can't stay in this spot. And then the Delta variant came out for the COVID thing. So that meant visitation was over, so now my wife couldn't even come visit me anymore.
Wow.
So I was by myself in the hospital, by myself with no visitation whatsoever. So I'm sitting there, so it's just on me, by myself, in that hospital. And then,
well, you weren't really alone, right?
No, I wasn't alone. I wasn't alone, but you know, you have no visitation, whatever it is, and then, and as much as I love her, and it's great to have her there, it's almost like when you're in the gym, whether my training partner shows up or not, I'm getting this job done, right? So that's the way it goes, you know?
Sometimes those moments of solitude are what produce the best clarity, right?
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. And then one night, they came in and they slipped me an antidepressant. So we're going to give you something to help you sleep, whatever it is. And then, and I had nightmares. I was like, this was crazy. You know what I mean? On top of all the nightmares you have when you're in a coma, that you have all these weird visions, and that's another story. But on this one here, it was messed up, and they came back the next night. And I said, you're not giving me that pill. No, but the doctor said, you're not. And at that point, the trach had been taken, where I can now put my finger here and I can talk with this. So I'm talking like that lady you see on TV that puts this smoking like this. I'm like, I said, you're not giving me the pill. And she's like, what? No, doctor. I said, no. And I said, no, but the doctor said no. And then the doctor comes in, and he comes next to me, and he goes, they told me you don't want to take the pill. I said, no. He goes, no, but we're doing it for good for you, because we see that you're down and you're depressed and want to help you out. And I put my finger in my throat, and I looked at him and I'm going, I'm not depressed. I said, I'm pissed, and I'm frustrated. I said, I need to get better. I need to get out of here. And he just like said, nothing that good. And I was frustrated, and I was pissed. Not at anybody,
just
but
the situation.
I'm in this situation right here, you know? And then they asked my wife, what did he do? He goes, he looks at the clock all day. Because the clock used to be behind me. I made him hang the clock from the TV. The TV would never come on. I had the clock hanging from the TV. You know why the clock was hanging from the TV? I was keeping my schedule.
Yeah.
7 o'clock I'm up. This time's my rehab. And I'm looking at all the things I had to do during the day, and that clock was my thing. Like, I don't have time to watch TV and be entertained. I said, I'm not here to be entertained. I'm here because I gotta get out. You know what I mean? I'm not here on vacation. I said, I gotta get out. And that clock that I kept looking every day was, and they told my wife, all he does is stare at the clock. So she's like, oh my God, he's so depressed. And I wasn't depressed. I was just on my point, because, okay, I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I move to my chair at 7 o'clock in the morning. Then the first lady comes in at 10 o'clock. And I'm looking, I know all my schedule, and I have to physically get myself up for it, because my heart's so bad that just my resting heart rate was in 100 to 110 just sitting down. And usually when you do cardio, you're about 120, 125. And I'm just sitting in my bed, and that's where my heart rate is. So any little thing I do starts exhausting me. So I had to like prepare myself for those little moments to get up and get myself going.
Use your energy wisely.
Yeah, so I'm there on that, you know, on top of, I had to get my trach, you know, I had to be able to take oxygen from the room as well as from this, and a little bit wean myself off. So my goal was wean myself off of the air as well. So I have all my little goals going. And then at night, I would do at night, so I could learn to use my fingers. And now I'm just doing like this, just trying to get my fingers going, where I can just know it's like, you know, which finger to which my thumb, and try to get my hands going. Just doing legless at night. Legless, and I'm doing my hip bridge at night, trying to get my strength back in the hip. All I can do to get my legs better, because tomorrow I gotta walk. Tomorrow I gotta get up and I gotta walk. And I can see the hallway out from my room. There's the hallway, and they have me do little steps here and there, you know. So I'm looking on this, okay, I gotta get to here. I'm thinking in my mind, if I can get this step, I wanna get home. I gotta show them I'm good enough to get home. And I just gotta start doing more of this class every day. I'm like, so they did half, you know, did half this walk, I did half of it. So they don't want to do the whole thing. I want to do the whole lap, and I'm trying to do it without resting, because they found me with a chair, because once my heart rate went up too much, they had me sit down, take my breath, and then get back up and keep walking. I'm going this, I had to do this without stopping. And you know, I have my monitor in front of me where heart rate goes up. And goes, Carl, you gotta slow down. You gotta slow down. I'm like, I'm trying to go as hard. He goes, I'm always intense. You know what I mean? But it's like, you gotta relax. You can't go so hard. I'm thinking this. Even my heart rate goes to 150. I'm getting this whole lap, and he goes, you can't go over this number. So I'm like, have to pace myself. But it was just those numbers, just trying to get around that room and get around that. And then one day I made the whole lap. And when it's like those are when I'm just trying to whatever little things I can do. They keep pushing more. You know, like in the gym, always try to push a little more. That for me was, you know, not be entertained, set my goals, and every day just try to push towards those goals.
A little more momentum at a time. And yeah, I mean, what an absolutely insane story of resilience, just from the hospital bed to the hallway, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, you progress from that to home now, right?
Yeah, well, even before I left the hospital, when they would try to move me in that chair, they move me and I would try to scoot to the chair. I'd get up, and I'd say, give me a second. And do some squats on the side of the bed. I said, okay, now I'm moving to my chair. So I would do some squats and going, and then we were like, this guy's
reps.
crazy. I'm like, get some reps,
reps.
and build my legs up, and I'll move to the chair.
Right.
So I was doing the little things, and then finally, you know, after the 40 days, they say, okay, we're gonna send you home. And now I have the defibrillator in my chest, but they had a vest on, you know, so if I go out, it'll shock me and put me back, all that kind of good stuff. So they're sending me home. Before I went home, they're supposed to send me to the rehab center across the street. I was in UM Hospital, supposed to go to Jackson for the new rehab center. Like, oh, it's beautiful, you're gonna be good there. We're gonna keep you there for a month, they're gonna get you going again, whatever it is. Insurance denied my rehab. So they denied my rehab, so I'm getting sent home, and there's no rehab.
Right.
I'm on my own. And they said, no, they're going to send you a home care nurse, and she's going to go and do your rehab at your house, whatever it is. And I said, okay. So on top of it, I had a PICC line. I was doing a 3-hour IV every single day. And I had to learn how to do my own myself. Because she would come in the morning and she'd put it on, and I had to learn how to either put it on, take it off. She'd come in for one or the other, but she wouldn't do both. So, you know, me and my wife learned how to start doing my own IVs too. So, you know, setting that up, and I was 3 hours a day. And then the home care, she came the first day. You know, brought the little bike for my pedal bike for my feet to get myself going there. And she started asking me advice for training and for nutrition because she knew that, you know, what I did before. And I'm like, I'm here giving advice to this lady who's supposed to be here to help me get better.
Right.
And she has no idea what she's doing. Because before she showed up, I already had the first few days, I already started doing band work by myself with some exercises. And she goes, well, what else are you doing this? I'm like, you're gonna follow my routine, and you're gonna get paid to follow my routine. Like, you're supposed to come here with the routine for me.
Could the insurance is paying you, pay me instead?
I said, yeah. I said, no. I said, you know what? Then the next day, she said, oh, I'm not gonna be able to make it today. The next time she showed up late, and I said, you know what? Don't even bother. So I'm by myself with my kids in the house, and my wife had told me don't do anything stupid. I say, you know, tell it to a man. It's stupid. We're just thinking just don't blow up the house.
Don't get anyone killed or destroyed.
I said the kids are old enough, you know, they're not gonna, you know, nothing happen to the kids. Are old enough. And so I go outside to my daughter, just stand at the table and watch me. I want to go through my work in the pool.
They can at least be paid off to not rat you out.
Yeah, so she's, you know, my daughter said, if anything happens, she called 911. I give them, and my daughter's freaking out. I'm like, just I'll be fine. So I'm in the pool, doing my own work in the pool. And my wife comes home like, what are you doing? I'm like, doing exercise. I told you. It's like, no, I just, you know, it's fine. She's here. She's old enough. I'm doing my work. But I just had those things I had to do as far as, you know, get myself better. And I had my goals of how many times around the kitchen table I wanted to make my walks, you know. Then I wanted to take it outside and do my walks in the neighborhood. And then I wanted to, you know, do how many times walking in my cul-de-sac back and forth. You know, I had my little dumbbells in the house that I had. Little by little I set them up, and, you know, so I do my rows of 5-pound dumbbells, you know, and whatever I could do to get myself better. And then after like a month, I said, I'm bored. You know, I'm bored. And so my wife said, just put the walker in the back of the car. So what do you mean? Put the walker in the back of the car. We're going to the gym. I'm going to the gym. So, you know, and our gym is big, and so put the walker in the back of the car, and then we went to the gym. And I left at 170 from the hospital. At this point, I had come up to about 180, so still pretty frail considering.
Quite a road ahead of you.
Yeah, pretty frail considering what people had just last saw me, and when I came in. So I looked like I came out of a concentration camp. I was skin and bones, you know. And then about a year back in the gym, and you know, there was no. I mean, it's always in mind that you want to be back on stage, but also what the goal was just to be healthy and be back and just, you know, show to my family, my kids, that whatever you're going through, just to persevere and just work through it, you know. And I guess that's what I learned this year was, you know, it's bigger than, you know, like you said, when you go in that time, you don't want to learn the lesson, but to be able to show myself, my kids, and people around me that this is not fake. I mean, because you can fake a lot of stuff on social media.
Right.
You know, a lot of people aren't real.
Right.
This has been real from the beginning. Everything I got through was real.
A lot of people had to watch the complete and total fall and rise, right?
Yeah, this is real. There's nothing fake about this whole situation, and you know, and I don't have a huge following. It's just for little bit of people that do watch. It's like, not disrespect to saying what's your excuse, but there's always an excuse we can make for whatever we want to fall back on. But I said there's a difference between excuses and reasons. Excuses usually is so you get away from doing something, but you got to find a reason to do things in your life. I mean, what's your reason? What's your purpose for doing? And my reason for doing this is not for stage to be the biggest guy in the gym. My reason for doing this is just to be healthy and give myself a chance to be around longer and to see my kids grow up even more, to be there for them because they appreciate my time. You know, when your son's walking the treadmill and says, "Thanks Dad for not dying," and you're like, you know, it's like, right. Well, thank you for, you know, for being thankful for me not being dead. It means that much that they're around, that you're around for them. Right. And another time I ever went through something, you know, I had the joke before I got sick that I was, you know, I was a mutant. You know what I mean? It's like I'm 200 years old and, you know, I'm a mutant, you know? And my son after this goes, "Dad, you really are a mutant." It's like no matter what happens,
you're at the very least a bionic man.
Yeah, he's like, you just walk through and heal. And goes, that's the glory of God right there. But it's like whatever you're going through, you have to have the mindset of, we can't control a lot of things, but the mindset is, no matter what I get hit with, I'm just going to keep walking forward. And because I stay in the same spot, I'm not going to get any better. Right. If I keep walking forward, at least while I'm struggling, but at least I'm making progress. You know what I mean? So no matter what you go through, you just keep walking forward. And I always believe you walk forward in belief of a healing or in progress just by you not staying put in the same spot. And then one more story. Remember when I came out of the hospital, obviously my clothes don't fit me anymore. Right. Because you know, I went from a triple X down to a medium, whatever it was, you know. And my wife's going, we're gonna have to buy you new pants and wardrobe. And I'm like, "You're not buying me anything." She said, "No, but I said, "You're not buying me anything." "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Because if you buy me a new wardrobe, you're telling me to accept myself in the place that I am." I said, "I'm not going to accept that this is where I'm going to stay. This is where I'm at, but this is not where I'm going to stay." I said, "Right now we're going through a valley, but I'm not going to build my house in the valley." All right?
Climbing your way out.
Yeah, I'm climbing my way. It's like, because if I say, well, this is where I'm at now and get comfortable, it's like me being okay with where I'm at. And I'm not okay with where I'm at. I'm not going to be 260 again, but I'm not okay where I'm at. So I'm not going to say, well, my new clothes and adjust to this new lifestyle, like this is where I belong. I don't belong here. We're going through a situation, but I plan to go to a better place. Right. So don't go there. You know, she goes, "Oh, now you're preaching." I said, "Well, yeah, now I'm preaching because you don't, with all due respect, like you don't understand. It's like we can't, when we're going through a valley, we're supposed to walk through that valley." You know, I said the psalm says we walk through that valley. We're not living in the valley. We're walking through that valley. And you have comfort in your faith that you're going to get through that valley. Not that I'm going to camp out here, I'm going to be here for the next 10 years. No, this is just temporary. And so I had to have that mindset that whatever valley I'm going through is temporary. That's where I believe that you know, that faith of walking through it and healing is, that whenever you face a tough time, it's for a moment, but you got to keep walking through it, because the longer you stay there, it's like a cancer. You can just stay, it's gonna stay on you.
Right. And it's only continued to reinforce the fortitude you'd already built, but now as you've sort of transformed your mindset, you were already sort of transitioning out of that place of being a competitor on the stage and just getting back into being healthy for the long term. What does that process look like for you, transforming your training and transforming your nutritional and rest and recovery regimens with all of this other stuff going on? You know, down to the very supplements that you take, right? So we recently brought you onto the team as one of the Gaspari athletes, but you mentioned you've been taking Gaspari stuff for ages, right?
Yeah,
so.
I think now that, even though I use a full dose, I still take the original Super Pump. You know what I mean? Like, I remember it's like, that's
still towing the line, right?
That's right there. I still bring it back. I get the old bottle. I'm like, man, this is, you know. I told my son, you use the new one. I'm using the old one. I put it in the old one. That's what I used my whole life. I mean, I was, you know, even when the other companies came out with theirs, I'm like, man, it's like, this is the. That was my bread and butter. It's like, that was my pre-workout. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to change that. And even when they came out with the size on years ago, I mean, before they came out with the product, I was doing something like that myself in my carbs and my aminos. I said,
finally something showed up that put it all together,
it's like,
right?
He's doing what I've been doing all these years. You know what I mean? So it's like, so it was always like kind of, since he had his own, you know, he was a bodybuilder, he kind of understood the mind of bodybuilder, so it just made sense that I wasn't following somebody who is trying to market to them, but somebody who's done it themselves, you know. So it's kind of like the same line or whatever it is. But you know, health has always been number one. I mean, it's, you know, we put so much passion to the sport and into trophies when you put the same passion to everything else we do in life.
Right.
You know, it's like nothing stops you when you're prepping for a show. Well, nothing will stop you when you have more important things in life as well.
Right.
And so health always came number one. So the vitamins were always there. You know, the probiotics were always there in the diet. You know what I mean? The clean proteins for me and my kids. I don't give my kids garbage stuff, you know. And so it's you know, and the new essential amino acids are great because I use the essential amino acids. I mean, I can go into the whole science behind that, but that's for another video, you know.
Right.
But it's just something I've always believed in. And so and for me, my morning shake is the greens, which, you know, I love the greens because it has the probiotics in it. I do the greens. I do it with the whey. I don't do my 50 grams of protein anymore because I'm trying to keep my weight down.
Right.
Because I don't want to get back. I'm trying to keep my weight under 220. So I do like a scoop and a half of the strawberry whey, the isolate, with the greens and about a cup of orange juice, and that's my breakfast before I go into work with my first line of clients. You know, and then they take the multivitamin later on in the day, so I space out my vitamins throughout the day, so not all in one shot, so I kind of space that stuff out during the day.
Well, if that isn't living the proven lifestyle, I don't know what is. Certainly, Carlos Rodriguez has been through more trials and tribulations probably than most people, and having applied basic principles of a strong, healthy mindset to a strong, healthy training regimen, you're able to clearly save yourself from probably some of the most deadly conditions there are in the medical industry, right? And we're just so thankful to have you on the team and have you telling this story today, because this is a tremendous opportunity for people to really listen and pay attention to what it looks like to take proven methods, proven style of training, and really proven nutrition.
Yeah.
And what that's going to do for your body in the long term. So thank you so much for sharing this time today.
And then, like, if you're still breathing, you still have hope.
Hey,
You know, if you're still breathing, you still have hope. So it's like you have another chance today to keep pushing forward and make something happen.
look, and in the end, that's all any of us are hoping for, is the opportunity to get one more day of training, one more day of spending time with our loved ones, and one more day to prove it. So thanks a lot for joining us. That's Gaspari Nutrition.